Let's give a round of applause for everyone that came out. As we always say when we come to the roster, first of all, I want to thank Honorable Farrakhan for giving me this opportunity to serve.
That's right. Go ahead.
I'd like to thank all the brothers and sisters that came out early this morning to make sure that we have a safe place for our sister to speak this morning. I want to thank you. I want to thank all the believers that came out today. Give yourselves a round of applause. I want to thank all our guests, no matter where you came from. We want you to know that we appreciate you for coming. We don't take you for granted because you had a choice. You could have gone anywhere this morning.
That's right.
But you chose. You wanted to come and hear our sister.
That's right.
So we want to thank you for coming.
That's
Give
right.
Now I want to just quickly, because I know you are anxiously waiting to hear from my sister as I am. But I want you to know something about our sister. She's just not a regular sister.
No, sir. No, sir. Absolutely
I'm going to say that again.
No, sir. Absolutely not.
She's not a regular sister.
No, sir. That's right.
Although she is our sister.
Right.
But you know the Spirit of God is on.
That's right. That's right.
That's just a fact. That's a fact. And I must say this.
Come on.
She is one of the greatest defendants.
That's right.
So I'm going to say it again. She is one of the greatest defendants of the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan. Without a shadow of a doubt. He's going to get married to it. I'm not going to keep you long. I know you're waiting on us. Let's give our sister. Sister Ava Muhammad, I want to give her the Southern Regional welcome that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan can hear it all the way in Chicago. That's fucking awesome.
In the most holy name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, we give praise and thanks to Almighty God Allah for His love and His mercy upon us.
That's right.
Always, when we go astray, raising up from among us, and us is every people. He always raises up from among a people a brother from among them who speaks their language, who is a part of their lives and culture, and who is one of them biologically as well as spiritually. He does that so that in His mercy, He may express His will to the people who are astray and offer them a means and a method by which to return into His grace. The Holy Quran, which is the holy book of the Muslims, tells us that there are some prophets and messengers we know, but there are many, many more we do not know. And we thank Allah for every one of them. We also specifically thank Him in this cycle of our history for Moses with the Torah, who is in both the Holy Quran and the Bible.
That's right.
We thank Him for Jesus and the gospel.
That's right.
Who is in both the Holy Quran and the Bible.
That's right. Listen.
And we thank him for Muhammad ibn Abdullah, to whom the Holy Quran was revealed.
That's right.
But as a descendant of slaves, as a black woman,
Come on now.
in North America, I thank Allah personally, and I hope on your behalf, for coming to us in the person of Master Farrakhan Muhammad, to whom all praise. We thank Master Farrakhan Muhammad for coming alone in 1930 from the city of Mecca in Saudi Arabia in fulfillment of God's promise to Abraham in the book of Genesis. And we thank him for raising from among the descendants of the kidnapped and enslaved victims of white America. One young man, one of the ocean of those who fled the domestic terrorism of the South in the early 20th century. And I am speaking of a young Elijah Poole, who rose up to be, and it had been predicted, and it was predicted, and he is now known to us to be the promised Messiah, the predicted and exalted Christ, eternal leader of the nation of Islam, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I never knew Master Farrakhan Muhammad. I never knew or heard in person the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But I thank Allah for my mother and father for making me sufficiently conscious and grateful to be black. That when I was suffering my personal afflictions, living black and white America as we all suffer, I was blessed to hear a man in New York City in 1981. And though I had been placed under a diagnosis of death, I am still here today because I heard a message from that one who Allah raised up for the honorable, for you and I, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's a line of Christ. I greet you in their names in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. Oh, what a blessed time. What a blessed morning for me. I thank you. You are so awesome to feast my eyes. I want to thank our wonderful brothers, our speakers that came before me, who just made such a powerful way. I could have just sat there. Brother Stanley, Dr. Ridgely, our young brother. And I want to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's Southern Regional Student Minister, the one and only Brother Abdul Sharif Muhammad. I want to thank all of the laborers and believers, and a special thanks to Sister Student Captain Lashonda Muhammad and the fabulous Vanguard who have made this weekend so awesome for me, my husband, Brother Darius, my daughter, Sherelle. It is, beloved, an extreme privilege and an honor to deliver part 2 of a message entitled A New Existence. Part 1 was delivered last Sunday. I was allowed to speak by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at MOSQUE Mariam in Chicago, Illinois. And much of this lecture is inspired by the revealed course of study given to Black people specifically and humanity in general by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It is entitled Self-Improvement, the Basis for Community Development. It is based upon a speech delivered September 21st, 1986 in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, as a student of Minister Farrakhan, who is the chief witness of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I shared last week my concern that absent a clear understanding of who and what he is, that you and I may find ourselves immersed in the valley of mixed feelings and controversy surrounding him and the messages we are receiving through him from the Lord of the worlds. Last Sunday, we read together from the Holy Quran, chapter 7, the elevated places. This reading was both the assignment we were given for our study guide number 1, and we were on that study last week.
That's right.
And we were also on that reading for the holy month of Ramadan.
That's right.
Last week at the same time, which is being observed by the entire Muslim world. So the whole Muslim world was reading the elevated places. Now, as Minister Farrakhan has stated, the Holy Quran as well as the Bible, these great books, they both place great emphasis upon the lives of the prophets and messengers of Allah God and the mixed feelings and controversy surrounding them in their messages. Both books make consistent reference to the chiefs or the leaders of the people and the attitude of the chiefs and leaders toward that prophet. Now, last week we looked at the views of the chiefs or leaders of the people of Noah, Hud, Salih, Lot, with a brief reference to that big major prophet Moses, who was sent directly to address Pharaoh on behalf of God's people and who was holding God's people captive. Now, in the Holy Quran this weekend, our reading was chapter 17, the Israelites, right? And just as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan teach us, the lives of the prophets and messengers and the attitude toward them is always being referenced by Allah. Now, chapter 17 opens with a reference to Muhammad of Arabia and the eminence that he would achieve. And it is our position, the nation of Islam, and we have no fear of contradiction, that all of the prophets, including Muhammad, were predecessors or precursors to the Muhammad that we follow today in the fullness of time. This is the fullness of time that we live in. We are in God's judgment, and God has made himself known among us. It also speaks of the greatness to which Islam would rise. And it gives the Muslims, Muslim just means one who submits to do the will of Allah. Islam, an Arabic word, not to fear, like your enemy would have you. Islam is an Arabic word, and it is not just a religion. Islam is the nature of the creator of the heavens and the earth, and it is your and my nature as original people. And we are warned in using the Israelites as an example that they were punished not once but twice because of misdeeds. And Allah warns the Muslims through his messenger Muhammad that they must follow moral precepts and that the human being cannot reach his or her potential unless we understand and comply with the universal law of cause and effect. And that cause and effect is every deed has a consequence. There is so much in that chapter. The name of Moses is right there again. The name of Noah is right there again. The presence of the opponents of truth and Allah's guaranteed promise of punishment. Falsehood must disappear in the face of truth. And in the face of truth, we see in that chapter the disbelievers, they just grow harder in their opposition. And no matter how much proof you lay before the disbeliever, before the devil, before Satan, they want to see more signs. They intensify their opposition until judgment comes. And it always comes. And of course, we know the ever-present disappointed one who makes his appearance. And I'm talking about Iblis, the devil, who has always in this confrontation with Allah, gets in God's faith and challenges him to take away from him the believers. And Allah says, go right ahead and do what you got to do. I will fill hell with all of you, and you'll get them all except my purified. Go on, devil. Now, I'll just read briefly the devil's opposition to the righteous. And we said to the angels, be submissive to Adam. They submitted except Iblis. He said, shall I submit to him whom you have created of dust? He said, seest thou, this is he whom you have honored above me. If you respite me to the day of resurrection, I will certainly cause his progeny to perish, except a few. And Allah says to him, be gone. Whoever of them follows you, surely hell is your recompense, a full recompense. And incite who you can with your voice. And collect against them your horse and your foot, and share with them wealth and children, and promise them. And the devil promises them only to deceive. My servants, this is Allah talking, you surely have no authority over them, and your Lord suffices as having charge of their affairs. Come on. Now, it is verse 94 of this same chapter where we will begin today, and I promise not to keep you long. I'm so grateful for your time and attention to someone who's just learning this like you. Go ahead. Verse 94 speaks to a major impediment, and I want to specifically talk to black people in America, us. The major impediment to you and I, and in this time of high-tech devices and the enemy of your eyes, filling your in my head with illusion, thinking a pair of shoes makes us somebody, a car makes us somebody, walking around with a shirt on with some Caucasian Sissy's name plastered all over us makes us survive. What hinders us? And do we think Allah is gone?
Come on.
Good question. Good question. Ask him.
The creator of the heavens and earth, the black God who created himself in time immemorial, trillions, not billions, trillions of years ago, in and from the triple blackness of space.
Come on.
And created alone and willed into existence everything you see and what you don't see. You think he's not here?
Come on.
Everything that happens as a result of either his active or permissive will. Either he makes it happen or he lets it happen.
That's the power.
Nothing operates outside of his mind.
That's right.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said the God who created himself from triple darkness did not leave from here until his mind was the law. He gives life and he causes death to maintain order. Nothing exists outside of his thoughts. He is Alpha and Omega.
Yes, ma'am.
This is why we are told in the Holy Quran, Allah would not even care for us were it not for our prayers. Because if he is not thinking about you, you and I don't exist. We are thoughts in his mind. And if he ceases to think of us, we cease to exist. You, black man, you, black woman, are original people, the last members of the tribe of Shabbat. You and I are the original people of this planet. The black man is the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the God of the universe. So the only way, Minister Farrakhan tells us, that the Caucasian rules over you and I all the way through 2017 is you let him. His time was up in 1914. The minister said, if you stop thinking about white people, they will cease to exist. They will have any in our life. So what impedes us is this, and it's in the Quran. Nothing prevents people from believing when the guidance comes. When the guidance comes to them, except that they say, has Allah raised up a mortal to be a messenger? That's the problem.
Wow.
And Allah responds, say, had there been in the earth angels walking around, we would have sent down to them from the heaven an angel for a message. He tells his servants, say, Allah suffices for a witness between me and you. Surely he is ever aware of his servants seeing. And then Allah promises retribution to those who disbelieve his messages. Our problem, beloved, black people in America, we're talking today about this people and the one raised from among us. Our problem, we just can't believe that God would come and save us. That's what a good job the enemy has done. Even though, my Christian brothers and sisters, it is as plain as day. In the book of Genesis, God's promise to Abraham, he said, I will come myself. We, being shaped and molded for 4 centuries by the white slave master and his children into a foolish, imbalanced people who embrace Santa Claus, the tooth fairy, Cupid, Mother Nature, Father Time, the Easter Bunny, and the white Jesus. And yet we are appalled at the idea that God would speak to us and guide us through a real, live man who is black like us. And we cannot even fathom the reality that God himself is a man. The way we are suffering, beloved, the deplorable condition we are in, even after a black president, 2 black attorney generals, 8 years. And yet, we're in a worse condition we've been in ever. And the fact that white America, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it would in the fall of America, is coming apart at the seams. And she is falling in front of us, which is okay, but she's also falling on top of us. We don't need jobs, housing, and health care from our open enemy. We need to separate and get as far away from our enemy as possible. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that separation is the best and only solution. It's the best solution. And even if it weren't the best, it's the only solution. But it's the best and it's the only.
Go ahead, teacher. Go ahead.
But in order for us to separate from our enemy, and Minister Farrakhan is showing us the separation process begins right where we live. Don't buy into this notion that you have to get in a canoe and get a pair of oars and row your way across the Atlantic to West Africa where they're suffering. That's what scares you. Am I going to have a Lexus? Are they showing the finals? Is there a McDonald's there? BET Awards, they had that over there? We have to undergo a complete transformation from self-hating slaves into a nation. When we study Scripture, we see clearly that God is consistent in how he communicates, how he saves, how he executes judgment. Now, I want to go back to the Final Call newspaper. And as I noted last week, you know you can subscribe to the Final Call online, the digital edition of the Final Call. I would venture to say 96% of this audience has a smartphone. Even if you don't have a place to lay down tonight, you have an iPhone. Know what you like. What does the minister say? We buy what we want and beg for what we need. But on that smartphone, your Droid, whatever, you can subscribe to the beautiful digital edition of the Final Call newspaper. You can also look for the Fruit of Islam, who are out in the streets with the Final Call newspaper. It is the only truly black-owned, black-produced newspaper in America. everything I'm teaching is available to you. We got So, June 13th edition of the Final Call. Oh, that's the current edition. That's available right now, in the moment. In the lobby. When you leave. Don't leave now. I'm saying when you do leave. Because I'm going to lift something from it that you absolutely need to hear. Farrakhan the Traveler. By Brother Jabril Muhammad.
Beautiful minister.
This article entitled Preparation of Divine Servants, both given the same clear book. And when you go and read that article, he speaks about the fact that Moses and Aaron used the same rod. But this is what I want to live, just this short statement. Quote, Minister Farrakhan's work and his success demonstrates the truth of the Bible and the Holy Quran, both of which are instruments of God.
That's right.
So you have the book confirming the man and the message, and the work of the man confirms the book. Now look, let's go back to May 23rd, 2017, Farrakhan the Traveler. I read from some of this last week, but this is truly critical to us. He writes, once we really behold the powers ultimately determining the course of life on earth and their relevance to Minister Farrakhan, we will then have no trouble recognizing the outcome of today's events. It then becomes possible to comprehend what the new world order will be and look like, and what we must do to qualify and live in it. Now that is a lot to wrap one's mind around. But I submit to you that nothing like this is being written or said by anyone outside of the circle of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is a teaching that comes from a power greater than the power you currently serve.
Right.
Look at what, I got to go through some of this.
Go ahead.
He said, once we behold the powers ultimately determining the course of life on earth. My God. We're looking at powers on CNN and MSNBC and Fox that are determining the outcome of the course of a dying nation.
Right.
What Comey is testifying to, and he is absolutely exposing the current Pharaoh and his enchanters, his chiefs and leaders. The Bible says Satan will cast out Satan in the last days. When this is over, this is like King Kong versus Godzilla. The clash of the titans. But the effect of it is limited to their world and those of us who choose to remain there. Minister Farrakhan is expressing to us, and a power is being expressed through him that determines the course of life on this planet. Now you tell me which one you're going to choose to follow. And if we behold those powers, he says, we won't have any trouble recognizing the outcome of today's events. See, you will have predictive power because we are past the time of prophets. And I will get to that momentarily. But he says, we can comprehend then. If we can see the outcome of today's events, he writes, then it is possible to comprehend what the new world order will be and look like. You have to have vision, beloved. When you look around us, you're not going to see anything in the environment that will manifest to you what the world coming in looks like. I can prove that in no limit of time, even in the white man's world. Go pull up some old, crusty film from the 1920s and compare it to today. From the 1950s and compare it to today. Even the 1970s and compare it to today. But we're not talking about advancement simply in technology. We are talking about an entire new world order. He goes on, and let's pay attention to these four things. He writes, in no way could the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan do what he has done these past years if he had not been, one, singled out by Master Farrakhan Muhammad. Two, shown to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Singled out by Master Farrakhan Muhammad, shown to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Three, prepared. He had to be prepared.
That's right.
And four, commissioned and guided to call forth the black man and woman to the task of nation building. You and I are so blessed. We are beyond the time of talking. We are in the time of nation building. And we all need each other. Whether you and I accept God's choice for himself and for us, beloved, will depend entirely on what? Our personal perception of reality. Did you pay attention in your Quranic reading to Allah's references in the Holy Quran to the opponents of the prophets? He uses adjectives such as blind, arrogant, haughty, guilty, transgressor, mischief makers, and more. And he says of the mischief makers, this is why perception of self is critical. He says they are the mischief makers, but they perceive not. But how do they see themselves? They say, nay, we are the what? Peacemakers. So here you are tearing up the place. You say, I'm a peacemaker. That's because we're following our teacher, Satan.
That's right.
Master Farrakhan Muhammad and Honorable Elijah Muhammad, my teacher. Minister Farrakhan, my teacher. Really? They want to be your teacher. But are they your teacher? Your teacher is the one you take instructions from. Who tells you what to say? Who gave you that vocabulary? Who taught you how to use profanity daily? Who taught you how to hit people, shoot people, cut people? Kill people over parking spaces. Who taught you to eat pork? Which is a guaranteed lockout from heaven. Did you pay attention to the effect that the attitude of the leadership from the people have on the prophet himself? What about that man? What effect does it have on him? What emotions does a man experience when he's despised and rejected? When he has a skill set that he could use to make his way in this crazy world. But he has accepted his commission. But how does it feel to be rejected and despised? And I say to you, my beloved black brothers and sisters, whether you are registered in the Nation of Islam or not, you are a member of the Nation of Islam. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Because you are of the seed of Abraham. You are the descendants of the tribe of Shabbat. You are the descendants of those young people kidnapped and enslaved, brought to these shores as a part of biblical prophecy. And now you are the one living in the time of the fulfillment of God's promise to Abraham. You were lost, and now you have been found by God. So we are called the lost found nation of Islam in the West. Accept your own and be yourself. So stop running and get a grip. Now look. How was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad received by the chiefs and the leaders of the people, which is us? We're the people. How do the chiefs and leaders that the white man has raised among us, the God of this world, how do their views affect you and I? Let's be real. Many of us never came out to hear the minister until we were dragged, kicking, and screaming because some Negro chicken-eating, scared pie-back preacher said on TV, "Oh, he hates white people. He hates white people." And that's all it took. You don't read anything, you don't hear anything. But Pastor Chickenfoot said, "Don't go." How is Minister Farrakhan being received today, right now? How do the views of the chiefs and leaders affect the people? Their view is losing effect. Okay? They can't affect AFFECT anymore because they don't have no effect on these young warriors who want power now. They don't want to punch clocks on the plantation. They want to do for self. You think all of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan's work was for naught?
Come on now.
Allah promises in that book, He wastes not the work of any of His workers. But the question is, how do the views of people in your circle? You know, almost all of us have a little sphere of influence. And it's like, he's all right, but you ain't got to be, going off like that. Are you a chief or a leader? And if you are, what is your objective in using the influence you exert over some of the people? What are you teaching the people? How does Minister Farrakhan handle the mixed feelings and controversy surrounding him and his message coming to us in the fullness of time from the Lord of the worlds? Have you noticed the Holy Quran doesn't go all into the details of the messages that the prophets brought? it has them saying, I am a messenger of Allah. I come to you from the Lord of the worlds. But what is he actually telling them? The Quran doesn't get into the content because it's not necessary. You and I are getting what's for us right now. We cannot make this transition on the knowledge of a prophet. They see in part because and thus they prophesize in part. Because the prophets all came up until the end of Satan's rule under Satan's rule. So at the end of the day, it was limited what they could achieve. Now we have been blessed by the coming of God and the raising up of his messenger Messiah. And because I can't get into it today, but if you come out and come among us and study this body of knowledge, you will learn that you and I are the most rebellious people in the solar system. Now this is true. We are in need of and have been given the embodiment of Allah's highest attribute, the attribute of mercy. And that attribute is among us in Minister Louis Farrakhan. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches that Allah's attributes have a theological order.
That's right.
They evolved as he evolved. You don't believe in spookism? He didn't pop up out of a cabbage patch. He evolved over trillions of years. And when he first came out of that darkness and willed the sun into existence to go to war with the darkness, there wasn't nobody beneficent and merciful. He said a warrior God came out of that darkness, a killer. So over all of eons of time, these awesome, almost unimaginable attributes evolved. And those 99 attributes make him all-powerful. He is the ever-living, the self-subsistent. He creates and recreates. But his highest, most refined, most demonstrative of love attribute is mercy.
And
you can take it or let it alone. I don't know what else to say. If you are looking at Farrakhan, if you are watching him, if you have witnessed, or if your parents or grandparents witnessed, thank Allah in that instance for the internet. It's all there. Look at him. He is not an ordinary man. I'm sorry. If you are watching mediocrity or envious and you want it to be just some guy, too bad. I asked you last week, were you confused? Because you and I need to work to qualify. I want to qualify if I can make it. My little grandchildren, I got one 19 months old, one 5 months old. They can pull me on. Come on, Mimi, come on. Pull me on in. Because I want to live in that new reality. But aren't you joyful to be certain that it's coming in? Because we're in the time of certainty right now. That's why it's important to be able to see clearly. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, some of us will be in the hereafter and not even know it.
Wow.
Because of your mindset.
Oh.
So only if we can properly handle the mixed feelings and controversy surrounding our own belief when it is directed at us. Do you know of any prophet or messenger of God in Bible or Quran who ever stood up among the people and the people said, yes, my man, come on in. Oh my God, build him a home.